Hello, welcome back to my YouTube. We are gonna dive into some of the energies for November. We have tons of portals this month. There's an energetic gateway that opened up on the 1st of this month. If you're not kind of well versed on all of that, you can head over to my Patreon and it dives deeper into what gateways are, what energy portals are, as well as the full in-depth sort of portal guide and timeline for this month. There's also sort of a brief overview over on Instagram, and sort of more on that will be over on those places and spaces. But to say the least, this month is a highly activating and highly charged month. I am so excited about it. We have Scorpio energies coming through full force, which I love Scorpio energy. It's a very, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people hate Scorpio energy, don't like it. And, so this time can be challenging because we're really harnessing this gift and ability of the energy of Scorpio. And that's kind of the energy of alchemy, of transformation, of going deeper into the layers and sort of the, what's behind the scenes of things in order to uncover a deeper sense of awareness of who we are and what we need in order to sort of drive ourselves forward in the material world. We have a lot of focus coming in on the material world, on family, on relationships, work, career, money, and sense of self, and who we are in the material world as a human being, bridging in this higher light of awareness through our energies and sense of self, now coming back into focus with our human self. If you are somebody that has felt disconnected from this world or your physical self, this is sort of helping to heal and bridge that gap. So kind of jumping right into the energies, I did map out and sort of outline some things. We have this weird light coming through. I think it's a reflection of, so I'm not really sure what that is. That's not a reflection of anything. I don't know. We're just gonna say thank you for being here. Little light portal. But as we're sort of continuing here, I did outline things, I did organize them, and that's something that I want to highlight for as we move through this energy, this time, this month, with so much happening all at once, energies coming in, energies coming in, energies coming in. We really can feel a little lost, a little ungrounded, a little up in the air. It can feel really overwhelming and kind of all over the place and anxiety inducing if we do not get organized, if we do not ground things into practical matter. And that's one thing that we're really sort of leaning into and harboring. As we move into this month, it's sort of teaching us how to sort of practice what we preach, how to walk our talk, how to embody the beliefs. And I went deeper into this and kind of my own experience with this as of late on Patreon. So if you're wanting to dive deeper into that, you can head over into that space. I'll link it in the description box. But basically, we're learning to sort of embody our beliefs. It's one thing to believe in this, and this, but if it's not practiced, is it something that we truly believe in? Is it something that we truly live by if we are not actually putting it into motion? And so we're really grounding this month, and we're working on the foundation, essence of our being, working on that grounding, what has prevented us from feeling like home and feeling safe and secure within our own embodiment, within our human self, within this world. And so there's this kind of theme around that sort of surfacing, where there is this connection to the root chakra that's needing to be established, and that's sort of moving its way through us during this month and this time. And with that, there's an adjustment to a new way of operating, moving through and with the body first and allowing the mind to follow. So often we wait for the ideas, we wait for the realizations, we wait for the aha moments, we wait for the pings, we wait for the downloads to hit and integrate into our awareness first in the mental space before we take movement and action within the physical embodiment. However, for many at this time, there's a switch in trajectory of the way that you'll move forward, where there's less action and clarity coming through this mental mental space, and there's more of this momentum and this energy moving through the body, where you may not have the clarity when you stop and think about it, but your body is sort of guiding you and moving you to this direction, or to do this and to this and to this. So for instance, I reconnected to a space of my past, where, you know, I felt that this visceral pull to this space, to this environment, and it didn't quite make sense to my head. My head was kind of like, oh no, we don't need to go back there. I don't know if that would work out for me now. I don't know if I'd be able to tolerate that space. This light thing is really annoying me. And I went, and this physical impulse had been coming through for months. Okay. It was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna go. And then my mind would be like, no, there's no signs, or there's no awareness, or that's moving backwards. And yet I went, and I stepped back into this space, and oh my gosh, the minute I stepped into this space, my body just, it was like, oh my goodness, I was being resurrected from the dead. The energy I felt pulsing through my body, the energy I felt retrieved through the connection to this space and this environment, my body was like, oh, this is something I need. This is a visceral need of mine in this lifetime, and I need this space. And this is what's been missing. This is what I've been craving. I couldn't mentally put a finger on it of why I was feeling sort of disconnected to a certain aspect of myself. But this space, it played a pivotal role in my growth, and it played a pivotal role in a certain part of my past. And so reconnecting to it now, it felt like I was moving backwards, but when I stepped into that space, I felt this reconnection to my body, where I needed to reconnect to that space. I needed to move backwards in order to move forward. So there is this change and this shift in trajectory of how we'll be operating, and that takes a little bit of time to adjust. It takes some time for us to warm up to this idea that we can trust this energy that's moving through us, even if we don't know exactly what it is. It takes a little bit of time for us to move with the flow of how we feel within our intuitive stream of intelligence, within our physical form, before we can kind of learn how to just move with that in a more even flow kind of way. So that leads into kind of the next theme of this month, which is trust. This is healing trust issues, so we can lean into our own intuition and self and others to establish our personal power. So in order to follow where we're going next, it's not going to be mapped out in plans, logical and reasonable plans that are sort of coming through our mental space. And the more the mental space tries to latch onto the control of the experience, the more we're going to see this mistrust surfacing, and the more we're going to see frustration, anger, and sort of tension building. So the more and there can be depression and anxiety that are caused from that, because when we look for control from the mental space, it'll latch onto anything in order to have a means of control and understanding of the experience. And that also comes with depression and anxiety. If we know depression and anxiety, it's going to latch onto that as a means of controlling that experience. But when we trust in the even flow of things, and to trust in the shift of trajectory of how we move forward, we can feel more freedom within that and more fluidity within that. And in order to actually follow through with it, our intuition is now our guide, and our intuition comes through our senses and the feelings and sensations of our body more than ever during this time and space. We're all very much so opening to that energy and what I'd like to call clairsentience, which is this clear feeling, intuitive knowing that comes through the sensation of the body. We don't know where it's coming from or how it's coming through us, but we just feel this overwhelming sense through our physical being. And that's sort of where this communication is coming through now. So communication is shifting in a sense with our intuitive gifts and awareness, where we may feel this sense of disconnection in the beginning of the month to our spiritual essence and awareness and how we used to view it, where it may be going through this rebirth period, so that we can develop this connection in a new aligned way with these senses that are opening up and expanding, and with this new way of operating and moving about the world. And that requires trust. That requires this faith and persistence within our trust and faith and our mind. Okay, our mind is our most powerful tool. It can be used either against us or for us, and we have the choice and free will to decipher which it does. And so in this period where things may be a little fuzzy in the beginning, where maybe sort of revealing deeper aspects and deeper shadow aspects or resistances or darker parts of ourself and being, if we are so caught up in the mind sort of deciphering it all, or if we're so caught up in the external validating our own being and selves, this can be a space that can be challenging for the mind. And so the mind can be overactive and overanalyzing during this time. I see a lot of insomnia, laying up late at night, sort of circulating over and over and over, ruminating over things, and memories coming to the surface. And all of this is sort of helping us to get to this deeper layer of ourselves, and really helping us to develop a sense of trust. So anything that sort of has prevented us from trusting, anything that has prevented us from leaning into the deeper essence of our being, we like to distract ourselves a lot, and we keep ourselves preoccupied and busy, and momentum, and in a cycle of momentum where it's like one thing after another, in order to sort of avoid going to the deepest layers of ourselves. So there can be a moment of pause within the beginning of this month, a moment of slowing down, of rest, of pausing, where things are moving really quickly at an energetic level, but it seems like the world around is standstill. And this is because it's taking us into those deeper parts that we've avoided or feared. And so this is moving into kind of the next theme of this month, which is moving beyond the surface. Looking under the surface of life and ourselves as a means of understanding and gaining clarity. So nothing is going to be on the surface any longer. There's a deeper level to this process now, and we have sort of combed through the surface, and we've combed through everything, and this fake it until we make it mentality and idea that our society and most of us have developed, anything that remains hidden, anything that remains untrue, anything that remains sort of left unturned, is sort of getting flipped over, and we're really being asked to face kind of what everything has been sort of accumulating to or amounting to under the surface. So many have been adopting spiritual practices, such as crystals and pulling cards and doing plant medicine and all of these characteristical traits of what we classify or what's become known as spiritual now today. Yet under the surface, there's so much that's been left unattended to, so much that's left unaddressed, so much that's been left unearthed. And so there's this need to kind of bring it to the surface. There can be power and control mechanisms coming to the surface on a collective level, jealousy coming to the surface on a collective level, as well as things like manipulation, greed, and power, and all of these things coming to the surface to reassess where maybe we need to transform our intention, because underneath all of that, this need to gain something, or this need to judge someone else, or this need to be jealous of someone else, all insinuates and connects back to a deeper level of unworthiness and disconnection with ourselves. And so this is bringing us to a deeper level within ourselves. This is bringing us to a deeper level within our own awareness and the connection to who we are now as we transform and integrate into a new space of being. And from that space, it's really encouraging us to transform at a deeper subconscious level. So that's kind of this next theme that we're moving into. We're transforming at a deeper subconscious level, and that is changing the cellular structure of the body. So we have a lot of activations. There's a lot of integrations coming through where we've been downloading and clearing for some time. And the beginning of November is this finalization of kind of turning on all the lights and getting down to the really, really, really deep parts of clearing and releasing to fully transform transform and alchemize. This is an ending, in a sense, to this transformative period, where at the end of the month we begin to gain momentum into sort of this new space. And again, look at the we love the dogs. As much as I want them to be quiet, we're gonna let them be dogs and bark because I can't control it. So that is a huge theme of this month as well, surrendering to what we can't control and allowing it to be and serve its purpose in it all. But yes, we're transforming at a deeper subconscious level, and this is sort of activating the body. The subconscious and the subconscious energies are what run our autonomic nervous system and the functions of the body, where they're automated. And so we're gonna start seeing a lot of things come into play within the body during this period, where we're releasing and clearing and activating certain things, where we may have more ascension symptoms and more kind of awareness around what's happening or what's changing within our body. And so diving into that energy, we are transforming at this deeper subconscious level, establishing new programs, new conditions, new ways in which we are automatically operating by and through activations and energies we have been receiving, being turned on within us, and we can be feeling more in tune and in touch with the psychic senses. We can be feeling drained during the day and a heightened energy at night during this time, where there's a lot of insomnia happening and a lot of contemplation and space needed to be with the self, especially in the beginning of this month. So this is really kind of a time of activation where we're kind of needing this space, and there can be a little bit of moodiness. There can be a little bit of kind of just being really moody with people when we're not giving ourselves this space we need to transform. You know, a butterfly kind of goes into its cocoon, its solidified cocoon, individualized to the self and kind of away from the world and everything else, wrapping within itself in order to come out into the world again. And that's very much so symbolic of this energy this month, where the beginning of this month we're kind of going within the self deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, to then sort of come out a completely renewed, restored, different version of our being, where we may not be recognizing ourselves clearly. We may kind of be like, who the heck is this? It may take some time to familiarize ourselves with kind of where we're going, where we feel called to. I know I already feel this. There's certain parts of myself that I'm reconnecting to that have kind of been coming to the surface, that are these parts of myself that I've kind of turned off or turned away in the practice of spirituality, where I've deemed them as wrong or bad or not right or not aligned or not light. They are my darker energies, and they come through in this flux, in this wave from time to time, and I acknowledge them and I practice them. But yet at the same time, there hasn't been this full momentum and sort of harmonistic union with those parts of my being. And then with the beginning, sort of the end of October, actually, middle to end of October, I kind of felt this unification with this part of myself that many in the collective are going to be feeling in the month of November. This unification with the darker parts of ourself, no longer sort of abandoning them, but bringing them into our sense of self and making ourselves whole and allowing them to be the powerful essence of our being and allowing them to be what they are without judgment, where we're seeing with a clear lens who we are in the wholeness of our being without this need to see through a dualistic lens. No good, no bad, no right, no wrong, but clearly seeing. And so truth is being revealed at a deeper level in essence during this month, where we're able to clearly see and identify ourselves first and foremost, and then we're able to clearly identify our driving passions and pursuits that are calling to us at a more intuitive, visceral level. And this is a time of really turning pain into passion, driving forward, utilizing the pain as motivation and inspiration for what is next, allowing yourself to reopen, to receive. So there is a level of pain that can be arising with this meeting and greeting of these darker versions of ourselves that are taking us back into, especially the heart space. The heart is in full focus, and this ability to feel safe with being vulnerable and open with our emotions, really connecting to our bliss, our pleasure, our passion. And pleasure is something that's at the forefront of this month. What conditions and what sort of practices have you had for yourself where you've had to establish this before you could have pleasure? And we're not talking about just sexual pleasure, although that's on the agenda as well, as we unleash and unfilter our taboos in the wild, untamed ways in which we seek pleasure in this world and through our body and our senses, as we're called back to that experience, and the erotic ways in which our body is tapped into a higher frequency and energetic pulse, which we feel throughout our body in our everyday essence in life. And so there can be some things surfacing during the beginning of this month, some darker aspects, some pain, some things that we've gone through, some stuffed emotions, again, some things that we've been avoiding, some things that we're like, oh no, I can heal this, I can go into this, but this is not what I want to open up to. Some parts of us that maybe we've left in the past and we never fully circled back to them to kind of unleash and let go of the guilt, the shame, the abandonment, whatever we were feeling. And abandonment, safety, security, anxiety, OCD, perfectionist tendencies, body dysmorphia, all of those things coming into big play here, and seeing where we're like seeing deeper into them, and we're able to see kind of the root cause of where they've come from and where that pain has been created through that cycle of awareness, and then how we can utilize this to transform it into our bliss, into our passion, into our purpose. Your triggers are the keys to your destiny. Your triggers are the keys to your destiny. So what has been deemed your biggest failure in life is probably your greatest success when you transform it. And so, for example, as a child, I was really weird. I was really kind of unique and different, very tapped in and tuned into things, very sensitive. And I also ran around the playground in the spirit of this time. I ran around the playground casting spells and being a witch, and that's something that I've always felt really resonant with, and I got in trouble a lot of the times for casting spells on people, and other things, and I was something that was shunned about me, this darker part of myself, and I can see now where it festered and kind of created this problem, or wasn't recognized, and was screaming and crying for years, wanting to be seen and heard and recognized. And when I didn't utilize it properly or integrate it properly, it turned into me turning to darker spaces in the world as I grew, doing drugs, being attracted to people who do drugs, being attracted to the bad boys and the people that were not good for me, and the people that I knew were emotionally unavailable, and to that thrill of having what I'm not supposed to have kind of thing. And so now I've learned how to transform that power into this space where I honor my uniqueness in that, and I can utilize that darker energy within me to bring illumination to other people's darker energies, helping them light the way. I've also felt really outcasted my entire life. I've never felt like I fit in, never felt like I belonged here, never felt like I was supposed to be here, dealt with suicide a lot of my life, dealt with depression a lot of my life, very significantly. We're getting a little vulnerable here, but that's the energy of this month, to get vulnerable, to get real, to get honest with ourselves. And so I'm being that example for you guys. I do have Scorpio in my chart. It's in my Venus and my Pluto, and it's in my 7th house of relationships. So we've been through it, y'all. We've transformed a lot. And I used to be really obsessive and addictive with relationships, and I had long-term abusive, toxic relationships with people on and off for like 5-year cycles. And all of this, I just wanted to feel wanted. I just wanted to feel seen. I just wanted to feel appreciated. I just wanted to feel loved. I just wanted to feel like I belonged. And I was a very, very deep person from a very young age. And I felt like I've never found people who could sort of match that energy. And I have so many different aspects to myself that I'm a dichotomy. I'm so, in tune with spirituality, but yet I also have these other parts of me that are not, innately or obviously spiritual. And so finding depth in those places and finding connection in those places that's at this depth and level of awareness that I have wanted has been a challenge. And so instead of, coming to this space of not wanting to be here for all of those differences that I hold and have, I found it as my purpose for being here, a call within me that helped me transform slowly but surely all of these triggers into what I do now, into showing up in this space, into sharing this energy with you all, and sort of building this space for myself, because I wasn't going to fit in anywhere else. And so I know who I attract to my videos and who I attract to my work and who I attract as my clients. They're people that I know in some way, shape, or form have always felt that as well. And in a sense, me being able to create this connection, this community with you is the way in which I remain connected as well. If I didn't have my work, if I wasn't doing this work, I would still feel all of those things I felt. So how can you turn this pain or these reasons why you feel like you don't fit in or don't belong into the keys of what you're here to give to this world and what you're here to do on this planet? Because it'll give and pour into you what you're needing as well. And so that's just kind of this whole energy of this month, this whole transmutative energy of how can we take these darkest parts of our being, these darkest, lowest parts of ourselves, and know that we're not the only one that's felt them, and be vulnerable enough to step forward and to use them as this driving motivation and passion and inspiration to what we create in the world now. I always say that there's two types of people. There are people who use what's happened to them in their life, their circumstances, their, shortcomings, their trauma, their triggers, their whatever they've had to go through in life as an excuse to play the victim. And then there are those who use it as motivation to achieve what they truthfully desire. So we're being given kind of the choice now to choose what one are you going to be? Are you going to continue to choose the victim state mentality, or are you going to awaken to the motivation and power that you can move beyond that story, that script, that challenge, and use it as something that's inspiring to others? And there's this energy around tuning in more deeply to the cosmic pulse of life in this month, where we're tuning in more to the unseen side of things. There's a lyric in this song called Black and Gold that says, it's almost something like, if I need external validation, then most of my life isn't real, or if I'm trying to see with what's in front of me, then most of my life isn't real. Man, I gotta look this up because it's gonna bother me. But essentially that's what we're kind of tapping into and tuning into and unfolding within this month. Hold on, guys. If vision is the only validation, then most of my life isn't real. Wow, take that in for a minute, because that's a good one. And the song was just coming into my head. So Spirit was bringing that in. If vision is the only validation, then most of my life isn't real. Think about that, okay? That's a major theme for this month as we're turning into this space of adapting to a new way of connecting and tuning in more deeply to this cosmic pulse of life, or tuning more into the unseen aspects of things, the energy, the momentumous energy of life around us, not in the tangible, visible essence, but in a more psychic, intuitive, sensing essence. And that's where this kind of new way of operating stems from, but also this new way of clarity, understanding, depth, and opening and awakening to something beyond what we can see. We're also, again, reevaluating power, material success, money, relationships, home, family, tradition, and getting clear on what truly resonates and is important to us at a deeper level. So a lot of transformation within tradition is going to be happening, especially in November and moving into December, because we have the holidays coming up. We also have an eclipse at the end of the month in Taurus, which is the first time this has happened in 9 years. The eclipse energies in an earth energy, and especially the material ruling energy of Taurus, is about family, home, the body, and material success, y'all. Money. They're really good at that money management. Tauruses are really good, usually strong Taurus energy is usually good about material gain and success. And they're also very home and family driven. And so this is kind of where we're reevaluating, okay, and transforming this energy, and so that it's more uniquely aligned with our vision and version of that. So for example, you may be in a relationship and you may have a home and you may have a husband or a wife or a partner that you live with, and you've been trying to fit into the role of what relationship looks like in terms of society. You've been trying to fit into this role of kind of going about home and family in this very traditional essence and way, or in the way in which you have learned based upon your traumas, and that can no longer withstand, and it's causing discord or disconnection within your relationship, or it's causing issues. And there's something rising to the surface within this month that's helping you get into the deeper intimate truths of that discord or disconnection. And so it's helping create conversations at a deeper level in regards to what family and home mean, which is really about connecting to the home within our being and essence and self, and creating the replicate of that within our world. So there's going to be a deeper dialogue within ourselves, a deeper dialogue within our relationships, a deeper dialogue within work, and colleagues, and all of this space that's beginning to revolutionize older traditions during this month and during this eclipse season that's carrying us into April 2022. So we're really going to be reevaluating hierarchical standards, especially in business structures and formats, and what family truly is, what power truly is, the abuse of power, manipulation of power, and the connection to material success, money, relationship. This is a good month to get really clear on what success actually means to you. Like, what does success actually mean to you? We often usually go about life based on, wanting success based on what others tell us it should be, and most likely that's usually millions of dollars, a big house, a fancy car, and a hot partner around your arm. And yet at the same time, there's so many people that achieve that and feel so empty and feel so hollow. So where are you playing these roles and playing these parts and chasing these things that aren't really connected to your happiness and your truth? And how can you reevaluate your relationship to those things to redefine the roles of those structures for you in your life? We're gathering a lot of pieces and regenerating, but maybe not coming fully out in the open with it yet. We're working behind the scenes to move things forward in the beginning of the month, and things not coming to light or really knowing where you're going until the end of the month. A lot of healing around stepping into new positions, new relationships, new offerings, where the truth is being exposed around where we need to release or do some more work on certain areas to prepare ourselves, our minds, our projects, etc., to sort of unleash them in the world. So we're in the beginning of the month, we're kind of in a mastermind mindset, where we're sort of brainstorming, brainstorming sort of this bigger, higher plan and vision, where we're establishing more of a foundational long-term vision and sort of understanding of where we want to go, something that is actually consistent and workable and buildable upon, rather than erratic and short. We've been moving through a lot of timeline clearings, rearrangings, downloads, and sort of mergences over the past year and a half. And now things begin to settle and solidify, especially towards the second week of November, where we're being asked to get really clear on the solidifiable foundations of what we're wanting long-term in our life. This is having us think long-term, okay? This is having us think big picture. This is having us think sustainable, consistent sort of endeavors where we're not just throwing into them and sort of flinging into them shortly and sort of giving ourselves the flexibility. But really, this is helping us address commitment. Where we feared commitment, where we haven't been committing to ourselves, to our vision, to our higher energies and sort of pictures of our lives, where we've remained out of consistency due to lack of commitment in our relationships as well. This is the things that are unearthing during this time are deep. They're the deeper level commitments that our soul came here to enact within the human form and structure, and we're now beginning to be sort of planning, downloading these blueprints, creating those blueprints for what we're going to sort of move forward with towards that second half of the month. Second half of the month, it's go. I mean, it's go. We're driving forward. There's such a passionate drive and momentum that's pushing us forward, and it's not force. It's not force. It's not control. It's natural. It's like, wow. Okay. And it's challenging because it's change, and it's a lot of change, and it's asking us to sort of move into the darker spaces of the unknown and navigate in this new way where it can be a little confusing and a little bit nerve-wracking, but we have to take this leap of faith, and we have to be willing to bet it all on ourselves and our own worth and on our faith and practice of our beliefs in order to sort of go to that next level. So there's a lot of different revelations, a lot of different pieces that are unraveling during this time, a lot that's sort of trickling in, especially through that dream state, especially through the alone time, quiet time, okay? Not stimulating by this podcast or this video or the television or anything like that, but really needing some space, some peace, some quiet to sort of integrate into what's unraveling. And then sort of towards the end of the month, there's this push to kind of come out and share with others, going inward to trust what is moving before it comes into light, the end of the month. So we're sort of going inward first and then kind of generating all that we've discovered outward into the world towards the end of the month, where we're really asked to be a little bit more vulnerable with the world, where we're now like standing naked, raw in the midst of the world without any covers or protection or our smallness any longer, and allowing ourselves to truly be seen and allowing ourselves to go for whatever the heck we want, regardless of what anyone else thinks or regardless what it looks like. And there's also this energy kind of coming through, this whole energy, this whole theme, this whole space that we've been talking about. It's about meeting a deeper level of the self, seeing at a deeper level. If you've avoided going deeper with yourself and others, if vulnerability hasn't really been your cup of tea, or if you've been afraid of that because of the past, this can feel aggravating, and this can trigger lower ego energies of, again, control, mind games, push and pull tactics to get what you want. It can also trigger manipulation and emotional avoidance. There can be some confusion creating resistance to how this energy is moving you forward and how it is asking you to move if it feels different, foreign, or unknown. Moving beyond fear is kind of the name of the game. So if we're entering into a space where we have not gone before, that requires us to sort of harness a deeper level of courage and bravery in order to peek into these unknown spaces and places and allow ourselves to go there. This is kind of like walking through the dark in order to sort of find our light again, in order to allow our light to sort of illuminate the pathway forward. If you feel lost, confused, stuck, or stagnant during this time, you are most likely someone who has forgotten your own light and forgotten your own truth, and there needs to be a reconnection to that darkness in order to illuminate your light for you so that you can be the light that guides you forward. There is nothing else outside of you that is coming to save you. There is nothing else outside of you that is coming to tell you what to do. It is within yourself. And people say that all the time, and until it clicks, it's not going to make sense. So it's really about knowing what you want, knowing who you are, knowing what you will allow, knowing what you don't allow, and getting really clear on what your non-negotiables are moving forward, getting really clear on your mindset, getting really clear on becoming your own ally rather than your own worst enemy, and moving forward with that consistently, no matter what, not allowing any external circumstance or setback or sort of appearance of things to hold you back. This is really sort of the energy of this month, moving beyond the fear and letting ourselves sort of move into a deeper space of awareness of life itself and the world around us, which is an extremely magnetizing energy that calls into things, calls into practice and play things that we've always wanted and desired at a deeper level. In truth, we may have become severed from those deeper levels of connection to ourself in order to settle for the idea of success that's been painted for us within the material world. So this is a reconnection to the deepest desires of our soul and of our heart, and the ability to let go of things that have held us back from knowing and believing that those are possible in order to bring them into motion and bring them into life, but more than anything, attract them. Rather than chase them, we are looking to attract them, which comes from this unwavering ability to show up as yourself in the world, raw, real, and unapologetic, and no longer separating this darker side of you and this light side of you and deeming this wrong and this right. So we're moving past dualistic thinking, dualistic perspectives, where we're able to expand the level in which we contemplate something, which gives more room for us to see the larger picture of things. When we're so quick to find comfort within dualistic thinking, whether this is wrong, this is not wrong, this is the answer, this is not the answer, we alleviate ourselves from that pressure of the unknown. When we give ourselves permission to sit into this space of contemplation and expansion of the conscious mind, to sort of see from all perspectives and see all views, to see infinite possibilities in the full picture of things, it becomes a vast trajectory of the sort of what's possible. And that feels uncomfortable or foreign to us because we're so used to being told, this is what is, this is what isn't, this is what is, this is what isn't. And when there's a definitive way of operating, we have more clarity, or we have confused that with more safety and security in moving forward, when in reality it's actually the prison that has kept you hostage and kept you from achieving your dreams and desires. And so when we expand our contemplative level of awareness, is what we're sort of being walked into in the beginning of the month, really asked to sort of contemplate, to think, where we may be up late at night thinking, which is not bad to think, you know what I'm saying? We may be just looking deeper into things, having deeper awareness into things, contemplating things at a deeper level, seeing the bigger picture of certain situations of the past, seeing the bigger picture of the present moment and where we are, having these holy shit moments where we're like, oh, wait, I didn't see that before. That's when we open up the gateway and the doorways for our own growth, but also to receive everything that we've wanted. So that's kind of the name of the game. That's kind of the name of the energy of this month. There's a lot of partnerships coming into play of all kinds, and reevaluating them, reevaluating relationship, reevaluating the relationship to your work, reevaluating the relationship to home, to yourself, and so forth. We have these cute new cards. They are dark. They are dark, so if you are not somebody who deals with that energy well, or you're not integrated into a space of appreciation of your own dark energy, I will just forewarn you, they may give you bad vibes. I hope not, though. They're really cute. I love them. I tend to like darker things. I guess that's the Scorpio in me. I'm also in a Scorpio progression, astrologically, so technically my sun and my Mercury are progressed into Scorpio. Could be why I really love this energy. But yeah, let's dive into the cards. Let's see what they got to say. I'm sure they'll confirm what we have just talked about, but I think they can give us deeper insight. These cards are powerful. I've never connected with a deck like this before, where you just touch them and you just want to keep touching them. I don't know if you can relate to that, but that's these cards. And they're not dark in a bad way. They're just not the like light and love, serendipitous, etheric kind of pictures that you would normally get with cards. But I think that deciphers the difference for people who are more attracted to tarot and more people that are attracted to oracle cards, because the tarot deck can be a little bit more blunt, a little bit more real, a little bit more shadow aspected. And oracle cards, most of them can be really light. Oh, it's just coming to me. Also this month, it's really, really important to connect to your ancestors. It's really important to connect to your ancestors because it's almost like our ancestors are becoming our guides, and we're sort of developing this ancient connection to the wisdom and the depth of what's been known and who we are and where we've come from through that connection and that energy. I will be posting more on Patreon about connecting to ancestors, but there is just this really immediate need, especially in the beginning of the month, to connect to your ancestors, connect to your lineage, connect to where you've come from on a energetic and sort of traditional level, so that you can sort of harness some of their traditions, because there are things that I guarantee you that you connect with or that are called to that directly connect to your ancestral line and lineage, that you may be releasing for them at this time through your physical body and awareness. There's a lot of that happening. Sort of the unseen and hidden aspects, releasing subconscious mindsets, could be ancestral. Lots of them are ancestral at this point. Also looking into your birth would be beneficial for a lot of you in getting. Yeah, we're in a major space in the beginning of the month of connecting to our ancestors, and there's huge karmic repayment portals. And that's where a lot of this guidance is coming from. And transformation. Taking something old and regenerating it into the future of the new. Taking sort of these traditional aspects and understandings of who you are, this foundation of your essence and energy, and sort of learning how to move forward with it. I feel like when we have connection to our ancestors, we have a better view of ourselves. I don't have the full picture of my ancestors, but I've been really wanting to find somebody who does like intuitive genealogy or psychic genealogy. Is that a thing? It should be. It totally should be. So we also may be having more past loved ones, grandpas, past ancestral connections coming to us during this period, loud and clear, where it can be a little weird, but be open to them because they got some messages for you. They're helping you guide yourself forward. They help us see kind of where we need to be. Okay. Oh, guys. I always plan on making these shorter than they are, and then they end up being long, and I'm like, well, whatever. I hope you enjoy all the free content. We're gonna pull a couple of them. Here, we'll pull these first. They're just so cool. These ones aren't that bad, guys. They're not that scary. The temple of my body. So again, we were talking about this connection to the body. I wish you could see them better. The temple of the body. This is what we were talking about in relationship to the body. So we're talking about like body dysmorphia, self-image issues, like perfectionism when it comes to the body, and seeing your body as a trapped cage in which harnesses your soul and prevents you from feeling this expansiveness. Instead of viewing the body as a cage and instead of viewing the body as something that weighs you down, begin to see this as the vessel that pulls and moves you forward. Begin to see this as the sacred container in which keeps the sacraments of your soul and serves in the expression of how you live your life in this material world. This is a time in which we're supposed to be connecting and healing the energies and the connection to the body at a really deeper level. So there could be self-image issues coming to the surface. There could be the need to kind of address sort of the deeper connection to the body at this time. And that's where, you may need help sort of addressing these long-standing things where you kind of are ready to move beyond the ball and chain of whatever energy you felt prisoned to within the connection to your body. But your body is not a prison. It is an oracle for the way in which your soul is supposed to be illuminating in this world. So there needs to definitely be a reassessment of the connection to the body. And the body is not a prison. It is sort of this temple for us to reside within and to live within. But I just see a lot of people, it's coming through really clearly. There's some people that have had eating disorders or that may be resurfacing or have body image issues where they're needing to kind of reprogram their mind. There's a lot of sort of unworthiness within the physical structure, and it's almost like you need to seek help for this, where it's like you've tried all of these things on your own and yet it's still coming up and you're getting annoyed and frustrated and angry with it. And so there needs to be some sort of help or some sort of a new plan, a new way of addressing this that gives you a new perspective and a new means of closure on this chapter. I do hypnosis, and if you book a healing session and you specifically mention that you are dealing with these issues, we can help you. I have also moved through that myself, and let me tell you, if I would have reached out for help a lot sooner or found the right tools and people to work with, I wouldn't have wasted so much of my life. Now we have anger and chains. So there's this energy of anger that's rising to the surface, suppressed anger from childhood, not having your needs met or feeling as if nothing is ever showing up for you. That's creating this anger. Feeling like nothing is ever good enough, again, with the physical body is sort of also creating this anger. But we also have the chains here. It's almost like what's kept you stuck and stagnated is now beginning to irritate you and frustrate you. And it's sort of like you're wanting to break free. You're wanting to set yourself free. You feel like you can feel a little trapped in this energy where it's almost like trying to force something to break through and to have momentum. Unreasonable, undirected, but powerful. So again, we're talking to power, we're talking to greed, we're talking to manipulation. Where are these sort of small needs to gain control showing up in your life, and where are they sort of coming in to create this anger and this frustration? Anger is not the road to clarify. It's not a controlled effort or a cold dish. It's raw, primal, explosive. It is the loss of reason, the loss of restraint, a burning bright and black color. This is about anger being the pathway to freedom. So it is sort of utilizing and alchemizing our anger into the power of momentum and inspiration to freedom. When we recognize that anger is purely the passion and unadulterated primal aspects of our sense and inner being, we can move forward to break these chains and to create the chains we need to break free. There can be a need to shout. So with the ancestors coming in, I just thought of somebody who would be really good at doing this. I'll have to talk to her, but this is about connecting to those ancient ancestral practices, okay, where they held ceremony, they chanted, they yelled, they were super primal and guttural and visceral within their expression. They thrashed their bodies around, to the drums. They pounded the drums with anger. Okay, they were unleashing something more expansive, and there was something so beautiful and harmonistic created from that, those darker qualities. Your darker qualities, again, are what are leading you forward to the freedom. Your darker qualities and the union with those darker qualities of your inner self and being are what set you free. And it's almost like when you set yourself free, you set others free. So there's this need to sort of scream and shout and dance and just like, I work out, I lift heavy weights. That's my primal essence and energy. So when I get really angry, which happens all the time for me, it's something that I just have learned to alchemize. It doesn't necessarily have a purpose or a cause in my external world. Sometimes I'm just a highly ambitious person and I am very future oriented and I feel really stuck and stagnated and like we are 15 billion years behind, and I am like, why the heck are we not in flying cars already? Like, what the heck is happening? And why do I have to sit here and go through this, and this before I can have this? Because that doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm learning to be human, but it causes a lot of anger, sometimes frustration and tension. Yet I go to the gym and I unearth that primal desire within me. And actually lately I've been screaming at the top of my lungs. I really, really have. The other day I did this very viscerally and primally. And let me tell you, I laughed afterwards. It transformed that energy. So how can you reconnect to these ancient and ancestral practices? Once again, these more tribal practices in order to unearth your energy. In order to sort of create an outlet for it, a momentum, rather than trying to force what's not working. And then we have obsession. You guys are not that scary. There's ones that are kind of scary, but obsession. So with this energy, we can become so obsessed regarding a person or a job or an idea or a plan that we had, and in a negative way, that it keeps us stuck and stagnated. So we can become so obsessive about how we look that it turns something that's, innocent and not harmful into something that's sort of out of control, something that hurts and harms us and doesn't allow us to have the full expression or freedom of our being. We can become so obsessed with the plan that we have had for ourselves in our lives that we grow angry and we become more powerful and greedy, and we can be obsessed with material gain that we lose sight of everything. And so we really need to look and pay attention to where obsession has shown up in our life, where we're obsessed with something else it's almost like an idea or a picture or an image or obtaining something that's not true and connected to our heart. There's nothing else that can be replaced by this thing or object. So where are we obsessing over the past or obsessing over a past relationship? I see this coming in so strongly around relationships, twin flame illusions coming to the surface here. A lot of people falling into this twin flame illusion, again, of like needing this other thing or part or person to complete you and being obsessed with obtaining that in order to move forward. And sometimes we end up in denial of what's true and right for us and what's revealing for us in our highest good, because we're so obsessed with what we think was, or we're so addicted to the illusion of what we think. And so we, chase people, we chase jobs, we chase money. Sometimes we actually chase, our ego. And obsession is a trick of our perception. And it really is something that we're here to break through. So there is an illusionary aspect that we're being asked to sort of break through. Again, turning this driving passion forward, but also finding this balance between obsessing over it and finding this relaxed state of openness to it, where we're no longer needing this thing or this person or this money to come in order to validate who we are in our excess and our worthiness. Obsession is a drug. In small doses, it whips, and in bigger doses, it kills. If we drown inside an obsession, we close our eyes. We don't die in the darkness. We just fall asleep, and then we can wake up more naturally. So sometimes we have to allow this obsession to sort of reach its full peak of us. So again, obsessive compulsive disorders coming to the surface with this month. What have you been obsessing over as a means of trying to control yourself in your life and trying to keep yourself small with this chains, okay? And where is this creating frustration, tension, and anger? And how can you transform that frustration, tension, and anger into something that actually breaks you free from that obsessive chain and control mechanisms? We're also going to see that being played out really strongly within our political space and societal structures. The United States president is Scorpio, hence why he rarely comes out of hiding. Let's pull I can't even talk. Let's pull one more for good measure. Well, there's two. Ooh, I wanted one. Be careful where you feel the need to retaliate against the hurt of the past, because that's giving your power away. That message came through loud and clear. Where are you addicted to suffering? We talked about addictions, delusions, and distractions. One card, November 2021 for the collective. Well, let's do another one because that's obvious. One more, please. Please and thank you. Okay. So this one we got here. Gilded Regret. These are so pretty. So I wish that you could see them fully. I don't know why they're not showing up so like vibrantly. I mean, they're not exceptionally vibrant. They're kind of darker cards, but this is about drowning in the emotions of the past. Again, when we're obsessing over past situations, obsessing over past things that didn't align, past partners can be really apparent right now. We leave ourselves chained and shackled to the past and we can't move forward. We leave ourselves chained and shackled to the smallness of what was, and we don't allow for what is to come through now. We don't have clarity. We can't have clarity because we're stuck in the emotions of the past. A lot of the emotions of the past will be surfacing and clearing. The illusions of the emotions of the past will be surfacing and clearing. And this is a time in order for us to kind of sift through the waters and the emotions in order to let go and release them. And this is also about getting closer and connected to yourself on an emotional level, knowing that your emotions are sort of like guiding the way. But also this is about forgiveness. This is about forgiving what was not fulfilled within the past. So often I see people who, like, if something didn't come into fruition in the past, if something didn't work out in the past, we harbor that within our heart and then we use it as a means of not trusting sort of what's to come in the future or what's coming in our present. So for instance, we get so caught up in, like, especially relationships, and this is such a Scorpio energy, but we get so obsessed with having a partner in relationship and calling in a partner in relationship. And then when we do, it's like not a problem. We can call people in, but each time we call somebody in, we get so excited about it. And oh my gosh, they're finally here. Oh my gosh, my partner's finally come. Oh my gosh, this is so great. This is so magical. And then it's almost like there's a tower moment where something is revealed, an illusion is revealed. There's hurt, there's pain, there's suffering, there's triggering happening in order to direct you back to your own love and self. And no, we're not talking about twin flame. Every relationship is like that when you're not aligned to your true self. So just being real here. Don't fall into the twin flame illusion during the season. And this is about sort of becoming your own mirror. How has your life mirrored what's left unfinished within you? How has the circumstances of your past been mirroring what you've needed to heal within yourself? And how can you bring this into completion now in order to move forward? But a lot of the times when we enter into these relationships and the triggering and things happen, like I was saying, we get disappointed, we feel hurt, we feel pain, and then we close off a little bit more. And then we may call in somebody else, and then the same thing happens. And then we may call in somebody else, and then the same thing happens. And then we may call in somebody else, and then the same thing happens. So by the time we reach this point, we have all this harbored emotional baggage that's kind of here within our heart space, blocking us from what we truthfully desire and almost making us afraid of what we really desire. And so it's almost like, I want this partner, but because it's gone this way each and every other time, it's like I can't let go. I can't let go in order to receive a proper aligned partner, because this is how it always is. So where are you kind of telling the same stories of suffering of the past that you need to let go? And the reason why it has kept occurring in that way is because you keep telling that story. And just on that note, we have another card that's associated with anger. Perchance to dream. Guys, I wish you could see these way more clearly. I think November is the time that I upgrade all of my devices so that you could just see them so clearly. I don't know if you can see that. I wish you could. Hopefully you can. There, if I turn it that way a little bit, it looks a little better. But basically, it's like when rage is projected inward, destruction joins confusion, and we break. So it's almost as if losing a sense of self is a crescendo of noise, a decrescendo of pain, and a prelude to nothingness. And it's almost as if this is really about, if you were to let go of all these things, would you still be who you are? Or if you were to let go of all of the past and all of the emotions, would you still be who you are? If you were to cut your legs off, would you still be you? If you were to carve out your heart, would you still be you? If your flesh would turn to stone, would you still be you? It's almost like feeling a sense of failure, feeling a sense of brokenness, feeling a sense of like beyond recognition, because there's these old parts of yourself that are dying. And there's almost this sense of like, I'm dying, kind of in a sense. Like there's a death and rebirth definitely happening. And this is almost like these old parts, these old memories, these old things that are kind of falling away. They can either pull you under or they can help you rise above. And there's this choice in this decision. So where's the obsession with what has gone wrong in your life, leading you to sort of this sinking feeling that you've failed, or that you don't belong here, or that it can't happen, or it's not possible? Again, we're mastering the mindset of things. So where has that happened in your life? But it's also like, where has that prevented you from dreaming? Where has that kept you underwater and held you underwater and not allowed you to sort of come to the surface, to breathe air once again and to breathe new life? There is new life after every death, and there is something new re-emerging after something that ends. So there can be a closure and an ending in really harsh ways or really abrupt ways, because we have no more time to kind of like beat around the bush. So things that are ending or things that are illuminating during this time, again, of the shadow of the darkness, it's like, it's right there, it's revealing. And it's like, whatever is kind of coming to the surface, we can either let sort of overpower us and sort of push us under the surface, but that's actually where we find the keys to sort of new life and new breath in itself. We have to be submerged in the darkness in order to find light once again. And so it's almost allowing yourself not to fight kind of what's sort of coming up, where you can no longer resist what's surfacing, but in a way it's having to surface in order for you to enter into this new beginning. So yes, there are old parts of you, there are things that are ending, that are dying, and you may not begin to recognize yourself in the transitional state where it may feel really weird and foreign, like we've talked about, but there's a new dawn kind of opening and awakening, and kind of with the card. This is the full moon also. So there's something coming full circle with the full moon at the end of the month. And this is the Queen of My World card. So following that card, I wanted to pull this card just to make sure, just to see what's there. But basically, it's almost like after you let yourself be submerged within this space of your emotional energy of the past and really allowing it to sort of move through you, to be released, to let go, to let it die, to let it end, a new self is born, and you are the creator of this world, and there's a new world that's emerging, and it's your world, and you have power and control over that world, and you let nothing outside of you any longer influence this inner world. Nothing from the past any longer controls this world. And there's a repowerment. So there is a reclamation of power that's deepening and happening during this month. I love you. Thank you for being here. And yeah, we're all moving through this together. You're not alone. You're definitely not alone. Trust me, you're not alone. And this is going to be kind of transforming us in a really deep way that's very great if we allow it to be. It doesn't have to be hard. We don't have to suffer in order to grow. It's all in how you handle it, and it's all in your mindset and perception. And it'll be kind of carrying us into December, into January, into April 2022, where things will kind of come full circle then. So there's something coming to the surface that's been hidden for some time, new information that's revealing, new insights that are revealing, that are allowing us to see ourselves more clearly, to change and transform our material world at a more aligned level to what we really desire, based on our heart and our soul versus our ego. But I love you. Have a great month, and I will see you next month.